Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this week's podcast, we've got loads to talk about actually. We're going to be talking about all the stuff that's going to be coming up in May. We're going to be talking about a number of new series that are also going to be starting in May, some new Disney Plus originals and a whole lot more. But before we jump into any of that, just want to do a quick bit of housekeeping before we get any further. If you haven't already done so, make sure you do go check us out over at the website whatsondisneyplus.com. You can also find us on social medias as well as our Facebook group, which now has over 130,000 members. So big thank you to everyone over there, and especially to everyone that's recently joined on the YouTube channel, because that one's doing very well, quite nicely as well. Also, a big thank you to our Patreons, Andrew Giuseppe, Julie, and What's on Netflix for all of your continued support, and also a big hello to Joshua as well for joining as a new Patreon. Audio support really does make all the difference, especially at the minute with everything going on. It just means the podcast is completely independent and can carry on regardless of what's going on. So again, a big thank you for all of your support. Readers mean all the difference. So let's jump into it. What a bit of an action-packed week this week, really, for news, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of surprising trailer drops, announcements about when stuff was going to be coming out. They decided to just drop a whole lot of stuff on us.
Yeah, and I think that definitely, I thought with Easter, it might have been a bit quieter coming back from it, but I think at the minute, Disney Plus is the only thing really kind of running in Disney, so there's a lot of news coming out. They're trying to get some good publicity going on with, obviously, Disney Plus right now, and some kind of big things really on their upcoming list of stuff that they're doing. So let's start off with Star Wars to begin with. May the 4th coming up in just over 2 weeks' time on May the 4th. They have announced that the finale of Star Wars The Clone Wars is going to be hitting our screens on May the 4th, which I think is great. They've also announced a brand new series called Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, which is going to be starting that week with the first episode, with new episodes dropping each week. There's going to be 8 episodes, and it's basically giving us a behind-the-scenes look at The Mandalorian. This is breaking just a few days after the season finale in Europe of The Mandalorian. So now everyone on Disney Plus will be caught up. But I thought, okay, this is kind of pretty interesting. But what did you think of that announcement?
And I mean, it's kind of funny because last week we were talking about how Disney doesn't actually do anything for May the 4th. And
yeah,
even though this is not like a huge lift for them, they can do whatever they want in terms of release dates as long as it's ready. It's still kind of nice for them to just be like, yep, we can't do anything super special. We can't do anything at the parks for obvious reasons, but here you go. Let's go ahead and drop the Clone Wars on May the 4th. And then this new series, which, it's not exactly The Mandalorian Season 2, but it's something new, which is nice.
Yeah, I thought the behind the scenes, the only thing is I hope the behind the scenes videos aren't longer than the actual episodes, but I think obviously we're going to get to see what they're doing. I'm going into this with the idea of I'm not going to be expecting to learn too much, because I know some people are kind of getting a little bit carried away where they think they're going to maybe be getting to learn more about Baby Yoda, and I don't think that's really going to be the case. You might see that as a puppet, but that'll be about it.
Yeah, you don't use behind-the-scenes documentaries to explain plot points,
unless it's Rise of the Skywalker.
Well, apparently, but you don't also do it to explain plot points that might be coming up in season 2, and I think that's part of what people forget, because for all the jokes about how much you have to read the source books or other books to understand the new trilogy of books, the movies, one thing they did do was make sure that there was no information prior to the movies coming out, which was actually pretty frustrating. But we're not going to get season 2 spoilers here. At best, we might get a hint or two. Maybe we'll see one of the new actors or actresses that we've heard announced get to talk about briefly being part of The Mandalorian, but that will be the full extent of it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this show. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be different. I think as well as that, it also kind of gives us an opportunity to kind of keep that momentum building on The Mandalorian, but especially for European users, because obviously they're just getting this series just days after the season ends. So it's kind of in line with that. But I also love the idea that we're getting that episode on the final episode of the Clone Wars that day. I think that's the perfect way of finishing off. Because we were down to the point of a couple of days away from it. So yeah, it made sense to do that on there. But I'm going to be talking about that episode later because, well, I just watched it about an hour ago, and yeah, I want to talk about it. So let's move on from that.
Not the final episode, obviously.
No, just
the final episode.
No, just this week's one. Moving on from there, it was announced that Maleficent 2, Mistress of Evil, is going to be coming to Disney Plus on May the 15th. Which is a big movie. That would be the big kind of release of that week, which I think is a huge kind of where, a lot of people have been asking where this movie is. Now we know it kind of also helps put aside the thing of where is Rise of Skywalker, because I know a lot of people were hoping that for May the 4th. Again, it keeps showing the fact of good 6 to 7 months after they get released at the cinema. That's the way this came out in October. It's going to be, May by then. That's the way we need to think of it, rather than Frozen 2 and onward. That's kind of muddied the waters. But Maleficent 2, big movie for May, definitely.
Yes, and I missed this one, or more appropriately, I skipped this one in the theaters. So this is brand new content for me, and I think for a lot of people, should be entertaining. I wasn't a huge fan of the first one, but I also wasn't a big detractor of the first one. So
yeah, we did actually go cinema to it. My wife really liked the first one, and we enjoyed the second one. It was a nice, easygoing movie. Kind of in some ways, because it wasn't connected to the original in the same way, they kind of go in their own way. So kind of was able to do something a bit more different with it. But that's definitely going to be a good highlight coming forward. They also announced a new Disney Plus original. Is going to be Artemis Fowl. We now know it's going to be coming on Friday, June the 12th. And yeah, that's going to be hitting right when we need it, right in sort of going into June already now with a brand new Disney Plus original movie, which, yeah, this is a bonus. This is a definite change. This definitely wouldn't have been happening had everything been going to plan. It's only 2 weeks after it was supposed to come out in cinemas for its release. So I think this is just a big win.
Yeah, I have to assume the 2 weeks after is so that they can try to sell it for 2 weeks digitally. The way they did.
No, it's a Disney Plus original. It's got the Disney Plus. It's got the Disney Plus logo at the front. It's even on the official website as a Disney Plus original, unlike like Maleficent or anything like that. So no, they are going full in on this being a Disney Plus, movie. This is
good for them. I hope that's not a sign of their feeling on their ability to sell it. Although I think, based on comments that we've seen and they have no doubt seen, that's probably a safe guess.
Well, this could end up being the biggest budget Disney Plus movie we're ever going to see on the platform. I'll be honest, I'm going into this one completely neutral. I've never read the books. I've only seen the trailer. I'm looking at it going, yeah, it looks kind of a typical sort of kids fantasy movie. I will give it a shot. And in some ways, I'm probably going in completely neutral is probably the best way, because I've not got any foresight. I know a lot of Artemis Fowl fans are upset with the way it's being looking, but it's going to be on Disney Plus. Essentially now most people ain't paying for it, so give it a shot. Go in with a bit more. It might be one of those situations where it might go, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought, or that's usually what ends up happening with these ones. I don't think it was going to get a fair whack at the box office, even if it had been all open as per usual. I think it still was going to have that stigma to it that we've kind of seen with things like the Nutcracker and Wrinkle in Time, Tomorrowland. Anytime Disney kind of try and do something a little bit different sometimes with live action, it just doesn't seem to be clicking, does it? No.
It's the same old nugget that we keep popping back to. People complain and want original content rather than remakes, but it's the remakes that get people into the theaters. Yeah. And I will have to agree. I may have seen it in theaters, but it probably would have been out a couple of weeks already, and I would have caught it on one of the budget days. Yeah. I wasn't super excited for this, but now part of Disney Plus, I'll watch it when it drops. Yeah,
it probably would have been a rental, but I probably would have gone and seen it because on my own, it wouldn't have been sort of a major thing that we would have all gone and seen. But I'm looking forward to it. I think that's a big bonus for June. I think that's just when it's going to be dropping when I think it needs to, because if we're going to get into it in a minute. May looks quite stacked already with what we've got coming up. Moving on from there, there's another Disney Plus series starting called The Big Fib, which is going to be arriving on Disney Plus on May the 22nd. It is a game show with a robot sidekick called Clive, and it's kids playing a warm-up round with a silly liar and an authentic expert sharing fabulous fibs and facts, such as real information about ice cream, tree climbing, toy design, all kinds of things. It's a bit random. Interesting as well, it is being presented by Yvette Nicole Brown, who also starred in the Disney Plus original Lady and the Tramp. But more importantly, all 15 episodes are all going to be dropping on the same day. And that's, again, we're having this twice happening now in May. We've got Prop Class at the beginning of the month, the whole season dropping, and now with Big Fib, we're getting the whole season dropping. They're not doing it with the two other new series, the Disney Gallery Mandalorian or the It's a Dog's Life, but two of the seasons, they are just dropping the whole lot at one go, which is they're doing something different. They're acting a bit weird at the minute.
Well, they're trying something new because, you know, they can at this point. And obviously they're using it on series that are probably a little less anticipated in this case. So the description for this one, I'm just kind of like, I'll give it one episode. I'm not too big on this, but again, it's a target audience kind of thing. This reminds me a lot of a show like called Double Dare back in the day on Nickelodeon. Game show, very big emphasis on splatting people with you know, goo and liquids and stuff. That's what this reminded me. And now I did really enjoy that show as a kid, but if I were to watch it now, I'd just be kind of a little bit.
Yeah, it's a kids game. It's a kids game show. That's what it is. I'll wait and see what it is. I'm going in with no real big acceptance. So sometimes that can actually work in the benefit of kind of when you go in expecting rubbish or bad, and it can kind of it's better than that. I'm not going in, but I'm more interested in this. Just drop it. I'll be honest. I'm much more interested in Prop Class, but this whole thing of dropping whole seasons at once just seems to go against the very nation of what sort of Disney Plus has been about since it's launched.
Yeah, and I have to assume that they're responding to people who are asking for drop everything at once, because there is a very big binge culture for streaming. We got into that from Netflix, Hulu to a lesser extent. And I understand where people are coming from with that. The people watch stuff in very different ways. But personally, I'm just like, please keep the binge, the single drops limited, because even for shows that I'm super excited about, like back in the Netflix days with the Marvel, the Defenders stuff, even if they dropped everything at once on those, it would normally take me at least a month and a half or 2 months to get through those, because I don't binge. I don't just sit there and watch 13 episodes back to back. And honestly, it would be frustrating because you would feel like you can't talk about it. Yeah. Because I've watched 2 episodes, you've watched 7 episodes. You don't even remember what the end of episode 2 was. You know, you'll start talking about something. Oh, no, sorry, that's actually in episode 4. I don't know about that. It's like Tiger King right now on Netflix. Yeah.
I just finished the last 2 episodes this morning.
I have not watched it. And I feel like if I were to watch it now, I wouldn't be part of any of the conversation because everyone's already moved on to the next thing.
You should watch it. It's great.
I really have no plans on watching that.
I was shocked. I'll be honest. I binged through the entire season this week. But there again, to me, it feels a bit like with these shows, are they dropping them on there because they've been finding that on some of these shows, maybe like Shop Class or Be Our Chef, the interest is just waning week to week to week to week, whereas like the Mandalorian and Clone Wars and stuff like that is working. I mean, they've got to be looking at the statistics of some of these shows, because I mean, I can see it in, you know, especially like in our Facebook group, you know, with 130,000 people, you get a grip very quickly on what people are interested in and how long people's interests are in there. You know, how many people are talking about Diary of a Future President was next to nothing. I mean, I don't think I've seen hardly any posts about Shop Class or a few ones here and there, but with that amount of people, there's nothing. Whereas like the Mandalorian was just endless ones, and even Clone Wars at the minute is pulling in quite a lot of interest, but maybe they are looking at the stats and going, yeah, this isn't working. I mean, it's odd, like with the European release, like Encore and World According to Jeff Goldblum, you got the whole seasons at once. Why they didn't do that with Marvel Hero Project, I don't know. But those kind of shows, I don't think were picked, like Marvel Hero Project, I don't think they were able to keep momentum for 20 weeks. And maybe that's where they're looking at it. Well, if we give them all at once, a lot of people might get through the season quick and at least watch it.
And it's also worth keeping in mind, we're looking at shows that don't really have a connection between episodes.
No.
The Mandalorian, you want to watch episode 1, then you want to watch episode 2, then you want to watch episode 3, etc. Let's say this week's Brain Games. We'll talk about that later, but you can pick any episode. You can start with because it's celebrity. You can be, I really want to watch the episode that's got this actor or actress in it. So I'll just watch that. And it doesn't matter if you watch the 3 before that, because there's no connection to them other than the theme of what the show is. So there is no particular draw to go come back next week to see all the craziness that continues. Well, it's not a continuation. It's a brand new thing. Whereas Clone Wars, we've got to come back next week to see what happens at the end of that episode. Yeah,
I definitely think the drama series, it makes more sense to drag it out. I do think with these like documentary series things, it's like the gallery. They could have probably given us the whole series of that in one go. And I also, on the side note, I do think there's going to be other series based on other projects, the way they named it. But I don't know. It's very interesting to see. Prop Class was kind of okay. 8 episodes, completely all separate. I kind of quite like that. Big Fib, I'm like, 15 episodes. That was 2.5 months worth of content. Really 3 months worth of. Be close to nearly 4 months. Maybe they just felt like in 4 months there would be no interest in that show, and therefore it was this whole scheme isn't working. But then when I look at what they've done with the May release, and we'll go through that in a minute, but it's starting to look a little bit more reasons why they might be doing this, of maybe sliding into that more Netflix idea.
Yeah. Actually, why don't we go ahead and slide into that? Because it is an impressive release list.
Okay, so this is for May. Now, this is for the US. So some of these things might not be the same for everywhere. There might be some new things that other countries get, and there might be certain things that you've already got. But so I'm going to run through them quite quickly and just pick out a few. There's some awesome animals, Birth of Europe, Bride of Badugi, or Boogie, whichever way you want to pronounce it. A couple of National Geographic series, Buried Secrets of the Bible with Albert Lynn, Car SOS, 7 seasons of that one. That's actually quite good. That one's a British show. Kirby Bucket, seasons 1 through 3, George of the Jungle, Homeward Bound 2, How to Play Baseball in the Beaver Valley. Some of these ones like that, and Nature's Half Acre. We're talking like 1950s, 1960s Disney documentaries here. These are quite old ones. Lost Secrets of Egypt, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, Prairie Dog Manor Season 1, Seasons 1 to 4 of Primeval Survivor, Prowlers of the Everglades, that's an old one, Secrets of the Zoo Tampa. Now that one was supposed to be coming up this week, so I don't know if that one's been pushed back a week or two. Survival of the Tribe, United States of Animals, unlike the Animal Friend Season 3, Waterbirds, again an old one. And then we've got the usual kind of Be Our Chef, Disney Family Sundays, and then we're going to get all of the seasons of Prop Culture. So let's just look at that for Friday, May the 1st, because that's quite a lot on its own. But what a lineup.
Yeah, there's some crazy good content here. And it's not just National Geographic's, which does seem to make up the bulk of it. I grew up watching the original, the original remake for Homeward Bound, the 1990s one, which was a great movie. I don't really remember the second one at all, but the first one was great. And I think a lot of people from our generation will, remember that one and have an emotional connection to it. And then, continue on. I never saw George of the Jungle, but
George of the Jungle, watch it for the tree.
I do know the song.
It's only because I saw it on a plane.
So much National Geographic's content, so many seasons of National Geographic content. There's a lot here.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it's kind of funny because there's a lot of people that kind of going, there's a lot of National Geographic boring stuff. And it's like, yeah, but for every person that says that, we're then looking at all the Disney Channel stuff going, there's just a load of kids junk here. There's a line here. It does feel very much along the lines of it's like National Geographic and Disney Channel, they are pushing everything down the pipeline for that one there. Moving on from there, on May the 2nd, John Carter for the US. I do watch that one, a really good science fiction action movie. It's got a bad kick. I enjoyed it. I've watched it a few times.
I have never seen it. It's another one of those movies that kind of falls in the let's try something new, and then nobody went and saw it. And I think there might also have been a small amount of the comics are extremely mature. And this is not talking about mature in terms of what content is in them, but this is not that kind of movie.
No, I would really recommend it. I might even watch it again because I did like it one. May the 4th, we had the Disney Gallery, the Mandalorian season premiere, and the finale of Clone Wars. From there, we then move on to Friday, May the 8th. New episode of Be Our Chef, Disney Family Sundays, One Day at Disney, Mandalorian Disney Gallery, episode 2. New episode of the Disney Insider, episode 5, which is going to be looking at running around Disney, Sorcerer's Arena, which is a video game, and opening the archives. Looks like this might be becoming a monthly series for a bit, by the looks of it. Looks like they've kind of framed it together to kind of keep the series going, but move everything around a bit.
This one was kind of depressing, actually, when I read the sign, because this is the weekend right now where I would be in Disney for the Rival Run if it hadn't been canceled. So it's like, but at the same time, it should be kind of fun. If they actually do some proper behind the scenes for Run Disney, I think there's a lot of interesting things that we could learn from that. And I will say Disney Sorcerer's Arena, I wonder if they're just going to talk about how much money you should spend on the game, because wow, that I tried it for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And by the end of 2 hours, there were something like 25 packs at minimum $15 all the way up to $50 a pack for a single character each. Is like, yeah, I'm not getting into this.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Mobile games have completely come off my apps. I just don't bother with them anymore. I'd rather play Game Pass stuff. I'm just waiting for Xbox Project X or something on my iPhone so I can use it. But not that that's an issue right now. I ain't going out the house, so I'm literally never more than 8 feet away from the Xbox. Right?
So you're not catching all the Pokemon in Pokemon Go right now?
No.
I am.
I haven't played that since that came out. It just reminds me of the fact I'm at work at a Pokestop and everyone playing around with it. Right, May the 15th, we've got Mistress, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Right, let's try this one again. Furry Files. Right. Now, I don't know if this one is a typo and it should be Fury Files, because that's what it was originally on the UK, and it was a series based on. It's on Disney Life with loads of characters from Marvel. So I'm really not sure at the minute. It could either be a Marvel series and they got a mistake, or it is a National Geographic series. So I don't know which one that one's going to be. Originally, when I had it listed for May, it was a Marvel show, but we'll have to wait and see. We got new episodes of Be Our Chef, Disney Family Sundays, One Day at Disney, Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, and then a brand new series, It's a Dog's Life with Bill Farmer, where he is going to be looking at whale poop dogs and sheep herding dogs. So that one's going to be interesting to see where that one goes. I've got no idea what's happening with that one.
The description alone is kind of catching. You're like, whale poop dogs. Okay. I have no idea what this is, but we'll give it a shot. I'm always down for more dogs, honestly.
Yes, I mean, as even some people are now catching on to the fact that there's a lot of dog movies and series on Disney Plus. Moving on from there, like I said, with that this new dog show, I'll give it a go. I'll see what it's like. Again, I'm expecting it to be a bit light and fluffy, but we always need light and fluffy right now. Friday, May the 22nd. The Boys, the Sherman Brothers story. Disney just rolled with it season 1. Now, that is actually supposed to be arriving on Disney Plus tomorrow, so I'm guessing that's been pushed back a month. I don't know why, unless that's season 2, and there's been another typo. But originally, that was scheduled to be here tomorrow, so find out tomorrow.
And I would definitely emphasize that anybody who is coming to this thinking this is The Boys from Amazon, no, this is a very, very different series than The Boys from Amazon. This is about the guys who did a lot of the iconic music back in the day. The Boys is a very mature superhero.
And I think I only got about 3 episodes in before I kind of gave up on it.
It wasn't for me, but I realized it's also very popular. This is not related to that in any way, so don't come in with those expectations.
No. Then we got seasons 1 to 2 of Mech X4, Disney Channel show. We got season 2 of Vampira. Disneyland goes to the World Fair, so something for the ones that love archive stuff, that's going to be quite interesting. A Fox movie, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Heartland Docs DMV seasons 1. Isn't it the DMV? Isn't that your like motor driving license program?
Yes, but this is the DVM, not the DMV.
All right.
Yeah. It's strange because every state has a different name for it. Like when I lived in Maryland, I think it was called the MVA. But yeah, typically if you say DMV, you're talking about going and get your driver's license or updating your forms or whatever. So this is not the DMV. This is the DVM, which is hopefully a lot more entertaining.
Yes. As obviously as someone that's never done it, all I know about the DMV is people going queue up all the time for their license. Right, moving on from there, we get... Yes. We've got Hello, Dolly, which I think is a really classic movie. I've never seen that one. And in Marvel's Future Adventures Season 2, which is the Japanese series. We also get Big Fib, all 15 episodes at once. Be Our Chef, Disney Family Sundays, One Day at Disney, Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, and a new episode of It's a Dog Life with Bill Farmer. So there's quite a mix of stuff there. A bit more Disney Channel, that side.
Yeah, which is fine. We need content for everybody. It's just hilarious watching people complain about it because, you were talking about people, all this National Geographic, all this boring content, and then you get to the end of the month and the only thing you hear about is, all this kid stuff. Where's the stuff for older people? Like, seriously? Come on, guys.
Yeah. It would be a little bit more, I'm liking the fact that they're starting to put in some of the older stuff, some of the 20th Century Studios bits and pieces like Hello Polly, and I think that one I've never heard of that one until today, but a lot of people seem to be called Hello Dolly, sorry. That one should be quite interesting. Moving on there for the last day, Friday, May 29th, you can definitely see that they are bumping up each Friday as the main day. Doc McStuffins, season 5, and that one is actually only ending on the Disney Channel this weekend, so it's about a month to 5 weeks after the season ends. Gabby Duran and the Unsittable, season 1, The Evermore Chronicles, seasons 1 and 2, Mickey and the Seal, The Moon Spinners, and Violeta, season 2, followed by the penultimate episode of Be Our Chef, Disney Family Sundays, One Day at Disney, Disney Gallery at the Mandalorian, and It's a Dog Life with Bill Farmer. So, again, a very weird selection all over the place, which I think is good. And they definitely seem to be lining up Fridays. And if you start looking at this and go, hold on a minute, they're dropping whole seasons each Friday, and a couple of movies, and a couple of seasons every Friday. And that seems to be where they're going with this.
They've still got so many seasons of Disney Channel shows to drop on here, and then National Geographic. I don't think people even know how many shows National Geographic has done over the years. You think of National Geographic, you think of one-off documentaries or maybe two-offs, but they have done a lot of seasonal content, and not all of them are documentaries because we've seen they're doing the right stuff coming up, and I think there's a couple drops in here that are
there was a couple of things that were announced this week. We had a new series called the Bark Sides, and then there's another one that it's about I think it's a chef that helps things that Ron Howard's doing. So there's two different things that they're working on right now, and they are working on lots of stuff. There's lots of shorts being made. There was another new short that's going to be coming soon, which is all about a woman that work out in Africa stopping poaching of elephants and stuff. And all of this stuff is really good. I'm really hoping that they can start maybe, because at the minute it's like, oh, is it a bit edgy for Disney Plus? Like, no, come on, guys. It's like, if it's a documentary about shorts of this, kids aren't going to watch it. It's like a 5-year-old is not going to sit there and sit through a 6 episodes of hour-long things. It's like, we can kind of get away from that. I just feel National Geographic is kind of at this weird thing of they need to kind of push that more, because I think it's a high selling point. And I think there's now going to be that thing of if every Friday you sit down and you click through the app, new series, new movie, new series, you want something there for adults to be able to go there. And I think some of these like drama series are exactly what Disney Plus needs right now. And I think this is what we've been talking about for ages. They are now looking at that archive and going, this is what we're going to use to bulk out Disney Plus over the next 8 to 10 months while we've got a bit of a dry spell about to come up.
Yeah, and it works out for us. It works out for them. They get to have the constant news updates of, we're going into the archives and we're pulling out this show that you probably never heard of, or you maybe vaguely remember, like that Mex X4.
Yeah.
I have a vague memory of that show coming out, but otherwise I'd completely forgotten about it. And now they've got all this stuff, and I'm also glad to see a lot of really old back catalog titles, like the Disneyland Goes to the World Fair. That's never seen it, or if I have, I don't remember it, but it's a nice little piece of nostalgia and a nice piece of history of, where Disney thought they were going to be in like the 1960s and what they were going to do with the World Fair, stuff like that.
I'm just thinking as a whole that was it seems a very varied amount. We're getting movies, we're getting stuff from different angles, and I'm liking the fact of each Friday that weekend they're going, oh, I should watch that. Oh, I should. It's not like everything. I'm sitting there, but I'm looking at that. Listening, this is one of the most packed months I've ever seen for Disney Plus releases. It's a pretty impressive lineup.
Yeah, and June is actually shaping up pretty well too. I mean, we only know a fraction of what's coming out in June, but even now the announcements are starting to roll in, and like, well, okay, they're adding quite a bit here.
I mean, I think this is going to be ultimately the issue of when everything kind of reopens, of where they can film stuff and get that things out there. But they've got that massive back catalogue. I mean, you have to think, like, right now, how much stuff is on National Geographic running weekly? How much stuff is being done on the Disney Channel? The other good thing as well, like especially with the Disney Channel stuff, animation is kind of carrying on as per normal. Like the What If show, that's all carrying on as per normal because they're able to kind of carry on from home. I know, like the Phileas and Ferb movie, that's all kind of been carrying on behind. And I think the Disney Channel is definitely going to be dropping things on there. And it does seem to be like drop the whole season about a month to 6 weeks after it finishes airing. I'd prefer them to be weekly, but I gotta admit, I think this is a good idea for them to start dropping things on there. There's been a few different weird things like this week where like the rest of the world got a Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie, but the US didn't. And then Australia got like Zombies 2, and there's all these kind of different things going off in different countries. So I'm going to be interested to see where all this lines up when we start getting that information dropping in, because now we're starting to get the US information. A lot of this, I'd probably say about a half. All the old stuff will probably be global, all like the 1950s and 1960s stuff. The National Geographic stuff is going to be the most stuff that probably will be missing worldwide because of access to it. Because if it's not, I know, for example, like half the stuff from National Geographic is currently on like Now TV here in the UK, like the Bear Grylls and the latest Dr. Pose and all those kind of things. They're not here. So you've got to kind of watch them from the US side of things. But yeah, it's lining out quite nicely. I thought I was reading this going, okay, Fridays are going to be pretty hectic. I mean, it'd be nice to have them a thing every day, but I see what they're doing, and I'm looking at that and going, okay, you're dropping season after season after season each week so that people can sit there and go. And I also think it's a good idea as well to start dropping like seasons rather than like seasons one. It's like, say, like Modern Family. Don't drop like 10 to 12 seasons all at once. Drop a season a week, or drop a season a month, and suddenly then you've stretched that out to a whole year worth of content.
Yeah, you kind of get to have the best of both worlds in a situation like that, because you can go, okay, here's season 1 of Modern Family. You've got a month to go ahead and watch it if you want to be up to speed by the time season 2 drops next month, and you just don't feel overwhelmed, because if you drop something like, let's say, Dr. Pol, I know they dropped all of that pretty much at once, and except for the one season that's still coming. It's like, you've got 15 seasons of this. It's so overwhelming how many episodes there are. I'm like, I can't even begin to commit to that.
I'm on like episode 3 or 4 of the first season, and it is just like, oh my word, I've got like, there's going to be 100, 200 episodes. This is a big commitment. And ironically, while I know I don't quite get it as well. Obviously, a lot of us are at home more than we are, and I'm personally trying to stay sat off the couch as much as possible during the daytime to try and, because the idea of just watching TV, and I can't sit there, and I have been watched the whole Tiger King series this week, so I can't say too much, and the whole other series of quiz that started. But yeah, certain points as well of like sitting down and going, nah, can't do it. Though I must admit, we've watched a lot of movies this week. We did X-Men on Disney Plus, and Avatar. We've done some of the Indiana Jones movies because they were on over Easter, and then we watched Frozen 2. I mean, we have been kind of watching, because, like, as you said, the TV's like running out in the evening.
I don't even watch TV anymore. But, Live TV, that is.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that even with all this content dropping, like I finally dusted off the PlayStation. It's like, all right, I've got some games here I never played. I haven't even touched the system since last year. I need something different to do other than binge watching stuff on Disney or even Netflix or any of them. It's like, all right, something new, something different.
Yeah,
I think we're all at that point.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to get a couple hours in a day in the evening just to kind of break up from watching TV and movies and stuff. Moving on from there, from a few other bits and pieces from this week, a couple of new release dates were announced for. Unsurprisingly, they shifted Soul. That one got pushed back to November's date, which was originally going to be Raya the Last Dragon. I'm just trying to find the date. I think it was November the 12th, was it? I'm just trying. Can't see the story now, but yeah, it's and then from there now Raya's moved into March of next year, which I think makes a lot of sense. I mean, we had a feeling Soul was going to do this. It also, it's moved. Soul is November the 20th, and Raya is going to be moving to March the 12th, 2021. This makes a lot of sense. It means now that there's no more discussion of Soul becoming a Disney Plus original. It's kind of removed that whole issue. It's got rid of that one right out of that. And yeah, I just looking at this now going, okay, it makes sense, as we said, with the domino effect of move them all out the way, move them one into another, rather than stacking it up. That means Raya's now moved in. I think it's taken the place of what was going to be Peter Pan, but then that one hadn't been officially announced and they hadn't been able to film it, and they need to give that more time so then they can push that one back, and it's just going to be this knock-on effect. But I think the next Disney release is Mulan in July, end of July now. And that's if everything goes on according to schedule, and every country is going to be different. Every state is going to be different. By the looks of it, Disney might not want to go with that system of if half the country isn't, or if half the world isn't working, they might not want to push it. Mulan to me is still at risk of either being pushed back or delayed. And to be honest, I don't know if they will go to Disney Plus. It's a lot of money, and I think they want to get it back, but depends on and I'll be honest, I think the attitude right now of that movie might shift with what's going on right now. And ultimately, Disney are going to have to play that one by ear, what they think they can do with it.
I have to assume that they're going to still try to get it into theaters. That as well as Black Widow, obviously. I said it before, but if those come directly, Black Widow and Mulan come directly to Disney Plus, it's probably a sign of Disney not having confidence in the world turning back to normal.
Oh, Black Widow's moved to November now, hasn't it? So I'm not really I think by them moving them way out of November, they've kind of moved them out of the summer period.
But that's my point. If Black Widow ended up becoming a Disney Plus original, after being pushed back to November already, there would be some very serious concerns about the state of the world, not just movies, but just the world, period.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely moving them back into November seems to be a good idea. But it also, once again, no New Mutants mentioned for May for either Hulu or Disney Plus. That one has definitely been wiped off the release schedule. I don't know what they're doing with that one. They might be holding it back for later, but it's definitely not coming in April or May now.
No, it's not.
No, and I'll be honest, I think if I was Disney, I'd be going, right, you know what we're going to do with this one? We're just going to hold it back for 2 years or 18 months so the contracts are all over, and then we can do what we want with it rather than
just bury it in the archives.
Yeah, well, the only thing is,
do that.
I mean, they use that one there as like the movie to send out to see if they can get people to go to the cinema. You know, that might be the other way of looking at it.
Actually, that could work because people might go to see a movie in cinemas even if they're not really looking forward to it, just to do something that's not in their house.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I saw there was some clips of like what the hell they want people to be in the cinema, and I'm like going, no, I'll rent, thank you. It's like I ain't going anywhere near. But moving on from there.
It is funny how people can go for things that they normally wouldn't have when they are absolutely desperate just to do something different.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like you might as well just Yeah, it's not my idea of fun right now. Moving on from there, Disney did announce as well and release some pictures and a new image of Secret Society of the Second Born Royals, which is going to be coming to Disney Plus in the summer of 2020. It's a brand new Disney Plus original movie being created by the Disney Channel, where there's a load of teenage royal rebel second in line to the throne in a kingdom, and she's disinterested in royal way of life, but then she discovers that she has superhuman abilities and is invited to join a secret society of similarly extraordinary second-born royals charged with keeping the world safe. So this is basically a princess superhero movie with the Disney Channel by the looks of it. It's just like, right, we're going to take a princess and then we're going to give them superpowers and we're going to put them into the Justice League. That's kind of how this sounds.
I was actually getting kind of Kingsman vibes from it.
Yeah.
You know, the whole like super secret and superpowers. Obviously, a lot less gory
I think
than that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know, it could be entertaining. It's classic Disney Channel. You know.
Yeah.
Let's come up with a silly premise and then just run with it. And you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But normally, at the very least, they're entertaining at some level.
Yeah, this should be good. It was a little bit along the lines of, because this came out and I'm like, why are they dumping this on news today? You've just announced a brand new series. You just announced the whole May stuff. It was like, I was just surprised that all this information got released, because it felt like, so they could have held back for another week, because even I went, oh, hold on, what was that? I missed that because I was so busy doing so many articles and stuff. I was just like, why are they announcing that at the same time? It just seemed a bit of a strange move, dropping so much Disney Plus news all within like 3 hours.
They were bored and they wanted to send out a bunch of news.
It was like, okay, that's okay. It made sense, but yeah, should be good. Again, summer 2020. It definitely feels like at the minute of them trying to push the idea that there is stuff happening on Disney Plus. There's lots of stuff still in the can. We've still got lots of entertainment. I think it's lining up quite nicely. You know, a lot of us are going to be home a lot over the next few months anyway, regardless. So I think lining up Disney Plus with lots of content, lots of National Geographic stuff to keep people entertained. And also as well, a lot of those shows you're going to be able to use for some, you know, if you've got kids at home, use it as educational pieces, you know, stop them from watching, right, you've had enough Simpsons, you're going to watch this documentary and you're going to take notes, and I want to I know that's what some people have been saying, you know, watch documentary and then say, right, give me 10 facts about it, or write the 3 things you learned from it, just to try and keep that stuff. And National Geographic is a well of information. There is actually a whole website that they've kind of created to kind of fill into that one there. Let me just have a look here at the list. Yeah, I think that kind of covers nearly most of the news. There was just so much of it. We also got a trailer for Prop Culture. Did you catch that one?
Yes, I did watch the trailer for Prop Culture, and it looks like it'll be entertaining. I love the behind the scenes stuff. I think was one of the few people who liked the Hollywood Backlot tour back on at Hollywood Studios. I would normally do that ride because it was fun to just, you know, go through the fake archives there where they pulled stuff out, or you see the snow speeder from Empire Strikes Back and things like that. Or I did the Universal version of it last summer in Los Angeles. I love that kind of stuff. The trailer itself didn't really blow me away, but it was also really short. So
yeah, I think they definitely I do think they've picked some good ones. I think with like Roger Rabbit and the Muppets and Tron, they've definitely gone in for some of the more fan favorite ones. I think it looks good. Again, like you said, I know when I've been out to the parks, I always do those rides, and I love that about the Universal Park in Los Angeles, where you get to see where they make stuff. I still remember now, last time I was out there and going through and seeing Wisteria Lane that they were filming, was it Hidden or not Desperate Housewives? They just finished filming War of the Worlds, and there was this massive plane scene that was smashed out everywhere, and seeing the thing from Back to the Future and all these kind of things. And the one in Paris was awful, but generally that kind of stuff with Rain of Fire, it was dreadful. But the one in Hollywood was always that feeling of like, this is good. And when you go around the one in Hollywood Studios, you'd have, there's Herbie and all these. I always like that stuff. And I think I was in Toronto one time, and they had a Lord of the Rings museum, and I paid to go into the cinema and into this museum and go around looking at all the props from the Lord of the Rings movies, and loved it. I've been meaning to get up to the one up in London for the Harry Potter one for the same reason. I just haven't got around to it yet. But that, yeah, so I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm going to give this one a go. I would have preferred it weekly because my worry is with 8 episodes dropping at once, I'm not going to binge it, and then it's just going to get lost in it. But certain ones are going to pop out. Who Framed Roger Rabbit definitely stands out to me. And Pirates of the Caribbean, I think that could be fun.
I think a lot of people will be drawn to the first one, which is Mary Poppins, because that was one of the promo images they were showing the carousel, or at least the horses from the carousel. And I think a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for Mary Poppins. So seeing some of those props, especially considering how old they are, because Pirates of the Caribbean, that's recent. A lot of the stuff they're talking about is fairly recent, but Mary Poppins, that's getting up there at this point.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I am looking forward to it. I'll be honest, out of all of the sort of series from May, Pop Culture is the one that kind of jumps out to me the most. It's the Mandalorian one is a little bit like 8 episodes on one series is quite a lot, unless they're 10 minutes apiece. But at least with Pop Culture, you were kind of, each one is going to be different. I think the Muppets one probably going to be quite interesting as well. And I really hope a lot of people watch that to kind of show it some interest for the Muppets. But yeah, it's kind of, anyone coming in for Disney Plus for May looking for drama, is not getting what they maybe wanted. But I still think that's a really strong lineup.
Yeah, I can't argue. There's going to be a lot for us to watch in May, which will be great.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from there, I briefly touched on it earlier with some of the movies I've been watching this past week on Disney Plus, and as well as some of the other stuff that's been going on of watching. So what have you caught up with this week?
From Disney Plus, only 2 items. Clone Wars, obviously, watched that pretty much as soon as I could. We'll talk about that at the end. And then I also checked out a couple episodes of the new season of Brain Games with Key. Kind of hopped around on that one and watched a couple different episodes, which honestly was better than I was expecting.
Got quite a few sort of A-list celebrities and stuff in there as well, isn't it? Rebel Wilson and
Rebel Wilson, Kristen Bell, Ted Danson, Jack Black, and I think the other members of Tenacious D. I didn't watch that one, but I did see the list there. And then, of course, given that they had Key as the host, they also had to get Peele in there.
Who is he? Because I don't know who he is.
Key and Peele were a comedic duo from several years ago. They did a lot of great little shorts, kind of SNL style, together. And if you look them up on YouTube, there's a lot of very funny bits with them. They separated as a comedian group or a comedy group, but they're still good friends, obviously. And then Jordan Peele went off and started doing a lot of director stuff. He did the movie Get Out, which was very well received a couple years ago. I'm not entirely sure what Key has been up to, but you see them pop up every once in a while. I know that they were smallish characters in the first season of Fargo and stuff like that, so popping into places. Point is, Key is relatively well known, so it is interesting that they were able to get him to do this.
Yeah, I just had a look to see what they look like, and I was like, no, I don't recognize them. So, again, this is sometimes what happens with TV shows and personalities and stuff. They sometimes don't always migrate around the world. Sometimes they, it's the same thing here. We have some celebrities that just don't kind of make the leap over, and ultimately, I think that's maybe I've never seen that stuff, but I did see some of the trailers for this series, and I was hoping it's currently on Now TV here. I'm sure once it ends, it's rights over here. We'll move on to it. But I did try a few episodes of the first season of Brain Games a while ago, when I'm going, no. And the new one, it looks more like a quiz show kind of thing, which looks a bit more fun.
It's interesting because it presents as a quiz show, but it's not. Because it was more like challenge style. I'll talk about specifically the first episode, which was Kristen Bell and her husband. They had these very simplistic challenges. Like they gave them a board with numbers on it, and they're like, okay, organize the numbers largest to smallest, and who can do it faster. And then they would key it into, Dax, who is Kristen's husband, did
He's
it faster.
The guy from, is it Chip? I'm just trying to think. He was
Chips,
in
yes.
Chips. Yeah, that's what I thought. That was who he was.
Among other things, but yeah. And then they would explain, well, men's brains are wired this way, women's brains are wired this way. So in this challenge, the men might have the advantage, and then the sorting challenge, women might have the advantage. And it would have been nice if they talked more in depth about why that was, because it was more along the lines of like, women use the left brain, or men use the left brain when receiving information, whereas women use both sides of the brain, and then they would move on like that had actually told us something. But it was entertaining. There was a nice cameo from Beaker and Bunsen from the Muppets, and I'm sure many of the other episodes had them as well. Honestly, I wasn't expecting very much, but I did enjoy it.
That's good. That's definitely a good thing to kind of carry on with there. So let's jump into Clone Wars. Now, this episode, I'm going to be honest, I just watched it this morning before we record, and I was just like, it actually gave me goosebumps when it started off. It was like one of those things, and I got to the end of it, and I was like, that literally kicked ass. That was that was probably one of the best episodes I've seen in a long time. It seemed to cap the music, the way it was edited, the way it was presented in terms of how much action there was. It felt like you were watching Star Wars. This whole season so far has been a bit like, okay, were we getting kind of out of the average here? This just was like, I'll be honest, I'd be saying to anyone, skip the rest of the season, just start with this thing right now, because this episode had something, so you could tell they put some love into this last chapter.
I agree with that. Like, I really loved the first episode of the series, the absolute first, and then it kind of dribbled off from there. The whole Echo arc was a bit questionable, and the arc with Ahsoka and the two sisters, I was just like, can we move on with this? I'm kind of hoping that there will at least be callbacks to those, so we can see why they picked those episodes instead of, say, showing Boba Fett and Cad Bane, which is a story that they've teased plenty of times. But yeah, this is what we've been waiting for. And right from the beginning, because normally Clone Wars episodes start with some kind of like pseudo-philosophical quote, and then you get into the action. But this one was like, nope, there's the Star Wars logo going dun, 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 and
I was half expecting a crawl as well.
I was expecting a crawl at that point.
It was like
the Clone Wars is in full swing, and they're Mustafar and whatnot. And then there were a lot of nice little throwbacks in it too, like things that would not have been in it had this originally come out back when the series was running. Because you get like a brief shot of Kanan as a Padawan right in the beginning. You've got Gar Saxon showing up. He had shown up in a comic book before his Rebels appearance, but would he have gotten as much focus here? And would Ahsoka have called herself Fulcrum? That's right at the beginning of the episode. That's not a spoiler. So many nice little touches in it.
It just felt, the animation style, and I saw some pictures of like comparing like Grievous from the first and the second, how much they've just moved on. And it feels like this is going to be the nice closing of it, because essentially they left it where Obi-Wan and Anakin were running off to face Grievous from Revenge of the Sith, where that started. It's literally like this is the last part of that story. It's all, and obviously we don't know where it's going to go, but it's no longer, this felt almost like that Rogue One kind of time zone, where it's literally just days before, or even hours before that movie.
Yeah, no, it's literally hours. They say it's going to take us 1 hour to get back to Coruscant and start fighting Grievous, and that's where we start Revenge of the Sith. And they mentioned Shakti is on that system. You get a very brief glimpse of Aelia Secura, the blue-skinned Jedi, and we saw the planet that we know she's going to die on. This is very much you can see Dave Filoni's hands in this everywhere. He's like, we've got to put references to that. We got to put references to that, and they all just come rapid fire. But then, more importantly, once it actually gets to its own story and stops, throwing in references to things we know about, it's really well executed.
Yeah, I love the whole thing of how like arrogant Anakin was when in battle, or just along the lines of just like he's like almost that, he's got that cocky, and he just, nothing's gonna hurt him, and he doesn't care, and it was just like, whoa, he's really cocky.
you can see the Vader in him at that
Yeah.
point, because Vader would totally be the person who just be like, all right, stormtroopers hang out back here. I'm just going to walk straight into the rebel fire like he does in Rogue One, and just like, whatever, you guys can't touch me. I've got the Force, and I'm way better at this than you guys are. It was a very nice touch. You're like, yep, I can see that transition. And that's what's, of course, missing from the movies, is you don't see that transition. But if you watch the Clone Wars all the way back from the beginning up to now, you're like, I get it now.
Yeah, it definitely feels like this is how they would have finished the season had they were allowed to finish the season properly. The other two sort of story arcs have been a bit along the lines of, well, these were stories that could have been in season 5 or season 6, and they kind of fell in. But this kind of feels like the natural ending. And it's at a very high level. The only thing that's really bugging me is the fact that the Mandalorians keep taking their helmets off. That's the thing that keeps bugging me.
I mean, yeah, that's more of a complaint about the Mandalorian itself, though. It's like, no, that was never part of the culture. I mean, I assume that
his clan might be different, but
I assume that is a clan tradition rather than the Mandalorian tradition, because we, even back from when Jango Fett was first introduced in the second movie of the prequels, it's like, nope, pop the helmet off whenever he feels like it. And like, I am waiting for somebody to drop "This is the way" at some point in this 4-episode arc, though.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This is going to be like every Friday, like, right, let's jump in. I don't want any spoilers. I mean, we know where it's going. But yeah, and then again, anything with Maulin, I love. He's it always was that thing of revenge. I remember when Phantom Menace, and I was at the cinema when it came out, and going, why did they kill off the best character? You know, it was always that thing of, he would have been such a cool thing for the rest of the season, for the rest of those movies. And it was always that thing of, he was so cool. The music was great. He looked great. And I mean, it's funny because I was watching X-Men the other day, because they're all over here on Disney Plus, and it was funny because even my wife said, we'll start going through the X-Men movies. I'm going, oh, excellent, that's good. I didn't even pick that one. And it was just like sort of seeing him in it. Go, see, at this time he was about to kind of break out, but he never really kind of managed to kind of move on from that. And yeah.
To be fair, Toad was not an iconic character, and I can see why that didn't explode. But yeah, Darth Maul, he should have been the villain of the trilogy up until the very end. He should have been the character that Anakin defeats, and instead we got Count Dooku, who still ended up being a cool villain, but he's just not as cool as Maul was.
Yeah, it's kind of almost that feeling of like Maul would have been a better replacement for Dooku in the long run. As I don't know, just like I said, I just really enjoyed that episode. It was like this. It felt like Star Wars. The music, the way the action was going, and the way they were shooting it. You know, it felt like a movie. Whereas it didn't feel like a kids' TV show, that kind of thing.
It would not surprise me at all if after all 4 of these episodes are out, we get a cut that is just one theatrical cut. I mean, obviously it's not going to go into theaters because of the current environment, but I could see them releasing it like in the olden days. You would see this finishing, and they would release a DVD with all 4 of them cut together into one single narrative arc, rather than having the cliffhangers at the ending.
I know, because it kind of ended, and it's sort of the thing came up with George Lucas' name on it, and going, oh no.
Now you gotta wait.
I gotta wait a week. And it was almost like kind of created by George Lucas, like, they really are kind of, no kind of, and the fact that a Lucasfilm production at the it felt very cool, and it was very much a nod to the past, and fantastic episode. I mean, I don't know where we're going to go from here, but I can't imagine they're going out strong on this.
It'll be a very good ending, and I think even if you were just to jump in right here at this point, you've never watched a Clone Wars episode before, you'll miss some of the subtleties of it. You won't necessarily know who Ahsoka is or things like that. But I think even if you jumped in right here, you go, all right, this was a fun episode, lots of action, lots of cool stuff going on. I'm excited to finish this off. And after having seen the episode 2, I was extra excited for them to go, ooh, it's dropping on May the 4th instead of, so I got it 4 days earlier than we would have. So I'm super excited for the rest of these. Yeah,
no, this is good. I mean, I think that's the cool thing, really. And I keep saying this is one of those shows where people sleep on because it's like a kid's show. It's animated, and it is really good. There's a lot of nods to it. I was one of these people that was late to it. I kind of started it when it came out and then kind of dropped off because it was on Cartoon Network and didn't really bother too much about it. Because now, it was a kind of weird thing. Like there was like a lot of nods, and like when Rebels came out, and going, oh, I didn't watch Clone Wars, so I don't want to watch Rebels. And with Disney Life, they had them all on there, which is essentially Disney Plus Part 1, and caught up. And I know, like, when I've been playing my miniature games and they've got loads of Clone Wars stuff, after watching all these shows and Rebels and stuff, everything just makes so much more sense of the expanded universe, so much more with these shows. And you shouldn't have to watch them, but it's a really nice thing. And even if you just watch one episode a week and watch it for the next 5 years, you'll be fine.
You get the same experience that most of us had, except for that like 7-year gap between 6 and 7. But yeah, it is one of those things where some of the Clone Wars episodes, I'm like, you can skip this. Pretty much any episode with Jar Jar, you can just like, yeah, go ahead and skip it. You're not missing anything. But Rebels, fantastic series overall. The only one that's been a miss thus far, and miss is too strong a word, is Resistance. It was just kind of bland. But
yeah, I still haven't got around to it. It's just something about it. I think I watched the first episode and I was like, I don't like the art style, and it just felt, I don't know, it's just a bit strange.
When it had good episodes, they were really good. They were definitely top quality, and they would fit in just fine with Clone Wars or Rebels episodes. The problem was that there was a much bigger gap between those really good episodes in the Resistance than there were in either the other two series. And it's much harder just to say, no, sit down and watch it, because honestly, it was a misfire. And if you watch,
why it's not coming back for a third season.
Well, there's a couple of reasons, but you like we were just talking about Clone Wars. If you go through and you watch Clone Wars, you feel like you know more about the universe. You understand why Anakin turned into Vader. It's much more well laid out. Rebels, you know more about that transition period between Episode 3 and Episode 4. You get more of the formation of the rebellion. You feel like you know more. When you get to the end of the Resistance, you're like, huh, that was a story. Mm-hmm.
It's one of those weird things as well I found with the Clone Wars as a whole, was it actually made me appreciate that whole era so much more, and the characters, because when they first came out, and I remember going to cinema when they all came out, and I watched them every time they're on TV. It's always that kind of thing of, oh, it's nice, easy TV. But I never was like, oh, it wasn't the Star Wars I grew up with, and it wasn't cool, and it was kind of funny. It was like what half the people didn't like about the new trilogy, it was exactly what everyone thought about the Clone Wars when they came out. Of course, now with the kind of nostalgia over the Clone Wars, and when us Odie's kind of sitting there, you don't remember what it was like back then, and like we all hated these, we all hated these characters. We didn't like it at all.
I honestly
my friends hated them.
I honestly still have a hard time watching the prequels, and in most cases, I'll just flat out skip the Phantom Menace. There's almost no plot points in the Phantom Menace, which are if you miss it, you're missing a major piece. But I'll sit and watch the Clone Wars. I'll watch the Clone Wars all day long. I
just find it quite so funny. And I think when like the new movies came out, I was so much more in a different place to it, because like, well, I've already gone through the Ewok movies and I've gone through the Clone Wars. Okay, yeah, we got Rey and stuff. This is good fun, blow stuff up, great Star Wars stuff. And it was like, I think for me, I'd kind of gone through this 3 times before. I was a little bit less, but I think the Clone Wars kids that had grown up with the Clone Wars, this was like the first time they'd seen something new and different. And again, it's just different things. I don't know, very strange. But I think the Clone Wars series, great thing for Disney Plus. I'm really hoping at some point we're going to get. I was hoping maybe at Star Wars Celebration this year, but I don't think that's going to be happening. We'd find out about a new animated series, because I think they are working on one set later with Ahsoka and maybe Sabine and some stuff later down the lines, because I think they've definitely clung on to Ahsoka. It's going, actually, she's a really cool character that they can use down the line.
Well, they went to the trouble of getting Rosario Dawson to play her. She's still a pretty big deal.
She's still playing coy with the idea, because she was an interview with Variety, and she was a bit like, well, I've not really officially they've not confirmed. Like, yeah, they've not confirmed it. They've not announced it. There's a difference. You're on TV saying, oh, it would be a nice thing to do. It's like, yeah.
The question will remain, will she take over as a voice actress? Like, if they do this older Ahsoka with Sabine hunting down Ezra and Thrawn kind of series, which is what it is rumored, would they continue to have Dang, I'm completely blanking on her name right now.
Ashley.
Oh yeah, Ashley.
Yeah.
Would they have her continue to voice? Which I would hope they would. I would like her to continue being
Yeah.
the voice actress. She's made this character over the last decade. And have Rosario Dawson do the live action stuff.
It's that kind of weird thing because obviously a lot of people don't maybe sometimes click onto the fact of, was there 15, 20 years between Rebels and Clone Wars? So she would be older. And then there's going to be another 15, 20 years between Rebels and The Mandalorian. So she would be much older anyway. So that's the way to kind of move on with that idea that she's not a kid like she is in the Clone Wars.
Because I still remember watching the Clone Wars movie, the theatrical one where they went and hunted down Jabba the Hutt's son or whatever it was. And I was like, this is awful. And I hate this character. She is really annoying. And now I'm like, this is my favorite character in Clone Wars. I am so glad she's in Rebels. I want the rest of her story. So that character's evolved a lot.
It's funny because I do remember when that movie came out, and I was like, because I went to the cinema to watch the Clone Wars movie when it came out because it was before the series, and I remember being like one of the only adults there because it was marketed such as this is a kids, and I mean it was even released by Warner Brothers. That was kind of the funny thing about it. But yeah, it's just as a whole, I've just this episode, I was like, this is cool. This is exactly what we want from Star Wars.
Yeah, and this final arc, which we're getting over the next 3 weeks now, it is shaping up to be the perfect end cap for it, and I'm super excited.
I think that pretty much wraps up this week's show. So let us know in the comments below what you are more excited for in May, and if you are enjoying the Clone Wars series, we'd love to hear from you. Remember to go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com, and you can find us on all the different social medias as well, so follow us there. Subscribe on the YouTube channel, and you can also subscribe on different audio platforms as well for the audio version of this podcast. And on that note, guys, thank you very much, and we shall see you guys next week. Later.